Keith, would you make Zagreb definite favourites going into this?
Oh, do you know what? There's a lot of people talking Zagreb down, and there's some stats to back that up. What is it? No wins in the last 5 games. I don't think they've had a home win at the Maximir Stadium since September.
Wow.
2 wins from the last 13 home games in the Champions League. So, not great stats. They're struggling domestically in their own league as well. But then there's another set of stats that you can throw at it, right? They had a draw with Monaco in Zagreb, and they've had wins away against Slovan Bratislava. Everybody beats Slovan Bratislava. And RB Salzburg. So they're sitting, I think Celtic are in 20th place in the New Look Champions League just now, standings. And Zagreb are maybe in 23rd, I think it's 23rd.
Yeah.
8 points to Celtic, 7 points to Dinamo.
Yep.
So, do you know what? I think it might be a trickier 90 minutes than some people are suspecting it will be. I worry when there's an overconfidence to Scottish teams playing at this level. And I wouldn't wish for people to go into this thinking, well, this should be easy, 3 points in the road. I'm not so sure. I think Celtic will really have their work cut out. I think they're going to have to put on a performance kind of similar level to the one they put on against Atalanta and Bergamo. It might roll out a very similar sort of tactical template. It might be, that the same again. That sort of performance. It might be Adam Ida up front, and being able to use him as a launch pad to get up the pitch a little bit. Tighter in midfield as we've discussed. But all these elements together, and the fact that Celtic have learnt from mistakes that have been made along the way this season and in previous seasons, I'm going to hedge. I might as well, cards on the table. I'm going to go a draw, and I think that's a good result. I think that's a really good result, and it's exactly what Celtic require as they just kind of hook and by crook they're edging into where they want to be, which is the playoff rounds.
I feel, Fraser, like Celtic, Brendan Rodgers would snap your hand off for a draw right now.
It's such a tough one to call. I mean, did you see that statement that Zagreb put out earlier on the back of their draw with Slaven Belupo at the weekend, saying they're in a crisis of form? Not the club in crisis, but the team's in a crisis of form. So Swanee's claiming the manager, and I think it's the wee winger, Pajeka, that spoke at the press conference. If they're in confident mood, that kind of goes against the grain of what that statement they put out after the weekend draw said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Keith got the stats bang on there. The results have not been good. I think they've slipped to 3rd in the Croatian league. But the simple fact is, when was the last time a Scottish team went to Croatia and had it easy or had a comfort? It just doesn't happen.
I think it's going to be a hard night, Fraser. I think you're right.
Aye. I would like, what I think is interesting, Keith, is just how far Brendan Rodgers takes the kind of handbrake off in comparison to that Atalanta.
Well, they shouldn't, because that'll be a mistake.
Ease it a wee bit. I think they might sense there is a chance of 3 points here, but it's when you release it, it's how you set up. Do you go identical to that Atalanta game and sort of invite Zagreb onto you? I'm with you. I would start with Adam Ida, probably just to, because first of all, I think he's a very good striker, and it gives you something different to Kyogo, and as you say, Keith, he allows you to get up the park if you bar it up to him. But if he can kind of rumble up the Dinamo defence, tire them out, and if you can get a fresh Kyogo on for the last 35 minutes, half hour, then the damage could be done and the game could be won. But I don't know. All I know is that I think Celtic are in for a very testing evening. And Keith, you were in that arena, weren't you, just last month with Scotland? I mean, is it intimidating? How would you describe it?
No. It's kind of knackered, to be perfectly honest with you.
A shutdown stand or something?
Yeah, there was an earthquake and it's damaged the foundations. So the kind of stand across from the main stand, nobody can go in it. The main stand itself isn't very special. It's run down. It's just a bit run down.
It's a bit rubbish.
Needs some work. Yep. But I think, you know, I look at it and I look at how Celtic played that night in Bergamo, and I think they've got the two, you know, we're talking about Adamida, and yes, Fraser, if he can work the central defenders, occupy them, he does that. He knows how to do it. Physically, he's a test. But then it's the pace down each side when you've got Kuhn and Maida. And if you do invite them on a little bit, then balls over the top and you just let these whippets go down each flank. And I think it's almost like rope-a-dope stuff, isn't it? And I think this Celtic side is set up perfectly for it. But as I said, you know, I think I know Celtic. There's a lot of optimism, but I'd be signing for a draw right now because it's a point in the road, be another terrific result and another step forward.
One of the things that we've talked about in recent weeks, Keith, is Celtic's midfield. And Paul, watching live on YouTube, says, "Evening, gents. Who does Celtic go with in midfield alongside McGregor? It's a tough call for Rodgers." I mean, I don't. I mean, Hatate, Engels, McGregor. Is there anyone think it will be anything different?
It could be Bernardo.
Think so? Ahead of Engels?
Yeah, possibly. Although he does like the physicality that Engels brings to the engine room. Certainly Hatate's absolute stick on.
Yeah,
I would have thought. I'm kind of looking at that Celtic midfield now and saying McGregor and Hatate are they're just in. They're in the team sheet. I know there's been a bit of debate about whether or not Hatate should be. For me, he's in every time. And then it's who's playing the third role there. You know, I think Engels has played. Has he maybe started all the Champions League games thus far?
I believe so. Yes.
Well, that would tell you what Brendan Rodgers thinks, wouldn't it? So it'd be a bit of a shift for him to go with Paulo Bernardo. And I think it is that physicality that Engels brings that Brendan feels his team needs at that level.
What Anthony Murphy, watching live on Facebook, says, looking ahead to the Zagreb game, we have a great opportunity to qualify with the Croatians that win the last 5. I'm very confident we'll be on 11 points come Wednesday. Although, this one, Keith, that I think you like, William Sloan, watching live on YouTube, says, I'm going to have to stop listening to this for fear of agreeing with Keith anymore. Almost as sure as death and taxes is overconfidence and a thumping.